And I now pass on the floor to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, President. It is an honor for the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to take the floor on behalf of the non-aligned movement at this quarterly open debate on a matter to which we have historically attached special importance, namely the situation in the Middle East, including the question of Palestine. President, at the outset, the non-aligned movement seizes this opportunity to reaffirm once again its abiding solidarity with the Palestinian people and its unwavering support for their just cause, particularly in the current juncture when the situation on the ground in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, is beyond critical and clearly unsustainable. Taking into account the tragic events that have taken place during the last couple of months, including the most recent episode of violence just 10 days ago in Gaza, which threatened to devolve into all-out war. In this regard, the member states of the movement further reaffirm, yet again, that the ongoing Israeli occupation and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict as a whole continue to pose a serious threat to international peace and security, which requires urgent attention and remedy in accordance with international law, the relevant UN resolutions, and, of course, the UN Charter itself. In addition, the Security Council must uphold its charter duties and must act to uphold its own resolutions, which not only comprise the foundation for a peaceful, just and lasting solution to the conflict, but are in addition to that legally binding on all UN member states. We would like once again to reiterate our determination to contribute to a lasting, peaceful and just solution of the conflict. In this vein, we call for the exertion and intensification of all necessary international and regional efforts in support of this objective, the ultimate goal of which is nothing less than to bring an end to this injustice. Let us be clear, the only way to achieve this goal is through peaceful means, based on the two-state solution on the basis of the pre-1967 borders, with a view to establishing a sovereign and independent state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital. President, the non-aligned movement continues to believe that Security Council Resolution 2334 provides the most viable path to peace, as it sets forth the essential requirements and parameters for a just solution which would preserve the two-state solution on the pre-1967 borderlines in respect of the long-standing terms of reference of peace endorsed by the international community, in accordance with the relevant United Nations resolutions, the Madrid Principles, including the Principle of Land for Peace, the Arab Peace Initiative, and the Quartet Roadmap. Similarly, Resolution 2334 would ensure the realization by the Palestinian people of their inalienable rights, including the right to self-determination and independence in their state of Palestine, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Hence, we call for the full and effective implementation of Security Council Resolution 2334, particularly by the occupying power. Similarly, the member states of the movement continue to call for the full respect and implementation of all other relevant resolutions, for only by so doing will we create the necessary conditions to bring an end to the occupation, to justly resolve the conflict in all its aspects, and make Palestinian-Israeli peace and security a reality for the benefit of both peoples, for the region, and for the international community as a whole. It is therefore imperative that action be taken immediately, in line with international law and UN resolutions, to address the situation on the ground, de-escalate tensions, and foster an appropriate environment for the pursuit of peace. We further seize this opportunity to express our deep regret over the most recent veto cast by the delegation of the United States of America in this body, the Security Council, a veto on the draft resolution presented last month by the delegation of the state of Kuwait. A resolution, or a draft resolution rather, which was aimed at addressing the recent escalation of violence and pressing need for protection of the Palestinian civilian population in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem and particularly in the Gaza Strip. We therefore express our concern that the Security Council has been unable once again to fulfill its mandate on this important question, and this due to the prevalence of particular interests and specific interests of one permanent member of this body. President, in relation to Gaza, the situation remains of great concern to the movement, particularly the grave humanitarian situation, which regrettably continues to deteriorate day by day. In this regard, the non-aligned movement reiterates its call for the complete lifting of the Israeli blockade on the Gaza Strip, which continues to impose untold humanitarian, social and economic suffering on more than 2 million Palestinian children, women and men. It must be stressed once again that the crisis in Gaza must be comprehensively addressed in accordance with international law, including humanitarian and human rights law, and in accordance with the relevant United Nations resolutions. And this in the context of the overall situation, which has been caused by the continuation of the illegitimate, belligerent, foreign Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territory. We must also be spurred to action by the unequivocal calls for an end to this half-century of occupation. Moreover, as Israel has clearly abdicated its obligations as the occupying power to protect the civilian Palestinian population, as it is required to do in respect to the Fourth Geneva Convention, the movement calls for the international community to ensure the protection of Palestinian civilians in the Gaza Strip and across the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, in order to address the dire state of insecurity as suffered by the occupied population and to prevent the loss of more innocent human lives. The member states of the movement reiterate their grave concern about the lack of accountability for all the violations committed by Israel. This lack of accountability fosters impunity and further destabilizes the situation on the ground and also diminishes the prospects for peace. Hence, we call for international action, particularly action by the Security Council, to ensure accountability for and a cessation of the violations committed by the occupying power. Israel must comply with its duties and responsibilities under international law. The movement further reaffirms that all measures and actions taken or to be taken by Israel, the occupying power, such as its illegal decision of the 14th of December 1981 that purports to alter the legal, physical and demographic status of the occupied Syrian Golan and its institutional structure, as well as the Israeli measures to apply its jurisdiction and administration there, are null and void and have no legal effect. In this regard, and in line with our principled position, we demand once again that Israel abides by Security Council Resolution 497 and that it withdraw fully from the occupied Syrian Golan to the lines of the 4th of June 1967 in implementation of Security Council Resolutions 242 and 338. To conclude, President, the non-aligned movement reaffirms its abiding solidarity with the Palestinian people, as well as its unwavering support for their just cause, whilst renewing its commitment as the non-aligned movement to further strengthen and coordinate international efforts to promote a just, lasting, comprehensive and peaceful solution to the question of Palestine in all its aspects, including for the plight of Palestinian refugees based on Resolution 194. We further reaffirm our strong commitment to continue supporting the heroic Palestinian people in their quest to achieve justice and fulfill their inalienable rights and legitimate national aspirations, including their right to self-determination, freedom, and independence in their independent state of Palestine, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Thank you very much, President.
Agradezco al
I thank the representative of Venezuela for his